Hello and welcome to podcast number 9. I am the great Jew atheist, and I am back in my apartment. No longer embarrassing to say that I'm living in my sister's basement, and this all happened on Sunday. So I finally ran out of excuses, and 3 of my brothers and sisters and my brother-in-law brought me back, and I'll just show you. I live in a studio in Forest Hills. It's a beautiful, spacious studio. Here's my main room. Oh, what a wonderful studio you have. And you can case the place if I won't tell you my address, but so I have a big eating kitchen, and so if you want to come over, the door's always open. Come over, see me. So glad to be back. This is my second day. I was supposed to go to a Alcoholics Anonymous meeting for atheists. It's called SOS. However, I was not in the mood. The weather is shitty. I want to do a few things, so I'm going to start next week. Today's podcast is going to be hopefully a good one, and I think this will piss a lot of people off, and hopefully, I don't know if it'll go viral, but I think that it'll be my best one because it will. A lot of people still think this is true, and I hopefully, after you're done with this, you will believe otherwise, or at least see how people are full of shit, which they usually are. Always remember this. If you remember one thing, people are full of shit until proven, right? Someone comes to sell you Amway. I'm sorry, not Amway, but something like Amway. Amway is a reputable company. I shouldn't say that. They're full of shit. If you want to sue me, it's like getting blood from a stone. Okay, so if I ever make it, though, that could be a problem. Like statute of limitations or something. All as Jews, they know the law. I don't know what the statute of limitation is. Okay, so let's make this quick. Try to eliminate the digressions. I'm trying to reset up my TV. If you could see it, they threw out my other TV. My friend had this TV, and I don't have cable anymore. Hope to one day get that back. But I want to set up the TV. I still have my Mac computer. I have a Mac Mini. However, I think when I came to rescue, I'm a hoarder, and I had to come back. My relatives were good enough to clean the apartment for me. But I think I took a cable off. I was just trying to get the Mac Mini, try to get all the cables from it, and I think I missed one of the cables. So I want to go to Best Buy, which is a couple of subway stops away. Subway's right here, which is great. So it's a very convenient area. I have a family, I don't have a girlfriend, I have nothing, I who have nothing, right? So I want to get that today if I could, and get started, because I have literally, and I won't tell you what they are, it's a little embarrassing. Maybe one day, you'll talk to I don't know, I don't want to tell anyone, but I have like a certain type of porn I like. It's kind of embarrassing, you're probably like, well, what is it? This curiosity might peak someday. And it's not even porn. That's so embarrassing. Like that, it's not pedophilia. So it's all the girls are legally over 18. They tend to be younger, but usually like in their 20s to 30s. Usually anything over 30. And once you get to about 40, but they're special videos. And the problem is they do have them on Pornhub and things like that, but they're hard to get. So one of the reasons why I spend a lot of money on my tape drive. I probably have $4,000 or $5,000 worth of them, and they are real. People. If you knew what it was, a lot of people. Some people have this. I was reading like there's a lot of guys into this, and they say like 1 in 20. One of the guys who produces these videos says that 1 in 20 guys have this. And it makes no sense, there's no insertion, there's no, porn. It's not really a porno. It's just a pretty girl and she's doing something, it's a weird video. It's a weird type of video. And since she's not even masturbating or whatever it is. So And I have these, and I love them, and I just think it's the sexiest thing. And so I want to get my computer working so I can spank the monkey tonight. Got my TV working. I'm going to even bigger TV, and these videos I could. But the problem is like, I'm older now, so it used to be like I could. One time I remember I was there was a place called Shower in Manhattan. They had this nice club, and I was dancing with this girl, and she was so pretty. She was like, I was young, like 24, 25. She must have been at 30, but she was really pretty. So I remember, you want to go out sometime? I asked her, and she goes, with who? With that guy over there. I was saying sarcastically. Like, I don't know, but I knew she was interested. So I never called her. But I remember that night, I must have just came 6 times. She was so hot. I just kept on thinking about her. I just couldn't stop. Now, I'm getting off on a tangent. So today's topic is conspiracy theories, right? Okay, so on this video, please comment on the video, pro or con. Comment. Please, I'll never get late again. Please press the like button. And remember, I love feedback. Great Jew Atheist, no spaces, at gmail.com. Again, Great Jew Atheist at gmail.com. Okay, so today's subtopic, I think a lot of you are going to get really upset. And I think it's a great one because, it's never been resolved. Never. And it's a JFK assassination. And most people, many people, again, I don't know what the odds, many people, and one of the big people who's always says Oswald did not act alone, Jesse Ventura. It was a coup d'etat, so it was a coup d'etat. Now, see, the thing I've always had a problem with the JFK assassination is that there were so many possible assassins. Now, this is just a list, and by the way, not complete maybe, I don't know. There's been books, so many books written about it. I should have, again, poor research on my part that could be criticized. This is off the top of my head. I mean, who are some of the possible assassins other than Lee Harvey Oswald? The Cubans, the Russians, the CIA, the Mafia, Lyndon Johnson, Clay Shaw, the FBI. That's 7 right there. And I'm sure there are other ones that I have not thought about. There are a lot of possible assassins. Now, the question is, who really committed the JFK assassination, in my opinion? And the answer is, and I think I'm 95% sure. So I can, my theory in life is you can never be 100% sure of anything, You can't even be sure you're here, Like, I'm 99% sure there is no God, but 1% sure. I mean, there's a 1% chance. I mean, there's 2 billion Christians, and if probably more than 2 billion, there's probably another 2 billion Muslims, and 14 to 15 million Jews, and maybe they know something, I don't know. Maybe I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't get it. Where is God? The answer is prayers. I mean, see, I think a lot of beliefs in God are just poor. See, the brain is poorly designed. We don't see when He doesn't help us. We believe when He's helping us. So it's just poor brain design, most of it. And so I'm 95% sure on this. And so, oh God, my handwriting's so bad. I don't even, okay, so I'm 95% sure the assassin, and this might come to news to some of you, okay, this is really controversial. The assassin of John F. Kennedy was Lee Harvey Oswald. Can you believe that? And you know what? Some of you don't know that. And you know what? He acted alone. He acted alone. Isn't that amazing? I'm telling you this. And then some of you, oh, by the way, I'm without disguise. I decided that there's no reason to be in disguise. I have nothing to hide. Why disguise myself, right? I have nothing to hide. I mean, I'm a handsome guy. I'm the best-looking 53-year-old Jewish guy in Forest Hills, okay? So I have nothing to hide, right? Look at me. I'm beautiful. I'm beautiful no matter what they say. And they say some shit. I'm going to get a haircut tomorrow. So this is going to be news to some of you that Lee Harvey Oswald assassinated John F. Kennedy. Did you know that? And he acted alone. Holy shit. I gotta take some acid. Something's not right. Wow. This is mind-boggling. This is unbelievable. Who told us this? All kidding aside. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the standard position. Now, there's no, anything could kind of be made into a conspiracy. Now, it's pretty clear what happened on September 11, 2001. It's really clear. I mean, there's no real conspiracy. It was a false flag operation. I mean, it's so clear what happened. The Jews did it. The Israelis did it. There was a bunch of Israelis dancing across the, it was a controlled demolition. It's just Ventura says. Now, like I usually say, when people believe something that's not, it's so obvious it's not true. Believe some kind of conspiracy, or believe in God, or or believe in the Bible. Especially we start with the believing in the Bible is literal. I say you're dumb. I won't say this about the conspiracy because it's really tough. It's a tough thing to, Lee Harvey Oswald. And let's get into it a little bit. Why do me, believe that he's guilty, and not only, that he shot Kennedy, and he was the only guy. It was like, that's mind-boggling. A guy like Lee Harvey Oswald, born 1938 and died in 1963, November 24th, 2 days after he assassinated John F. Kennedy. They didn't back then have good, they didn't protect their witnesses very well back then. They didn't do a good job, okay? So let's start out, and we're going to start out with the book that kind of convinced me now that he was the lone gunman. And you could read the Warren Commission account. Now, that's tough reading. It's a big volume, and it's kind of boring, so maybe you can read it, and most people get bored, and they want to hear something more interesting, like a UFO. The UFO is that the CIA did it, or the Mafia did it, or, maybe we'll get into some, if we have time left at the end, we'll maybe get into some of those conspiracy theories, or the FBI did it, and, yeah, well, that's funny. I skipped over that. I went really quick. Maybe we'll go back towards the end and discuss why we'll discuss why none of these claims are true, okay? Or specious at best. Okay, so the book you should pick up, and the best book, because, the Warren Commission report is kind of boring. It's testimony, and it's not well written. Gerald Posner, a very good journalist, he also wrote a very good book on the killing of Martin Luther King. And to show you, he's not just a guy who takes the standard explanation. He believes there was a conspiracy. The white supremacist community was paying James Earl Ray to kill. They had a bounty on Martin Luther King. My handwriting is really bad, so I'm going to have to do this from memory. So his book, Gerald Posner's book, is called Case Closed, okay? And I think I remember. Case Closed. And basically he said that Lee Harvey Oswald killed Kennedy, and he acted alone. He commented on the Warren Commission. They got the result right, that he did that, but they made some mistakes. But he said the mistakes were minor, and they weren't that important to the overall thing. Now, let's start with Lee Harvey Oswald in 1963. So we'll talk more about his psyche, which is important. But in 1963, Lee Harvey Oswald lived in Dallas, and he was not a mentally stable man. At this time, he was 24 or 25. I don't know when his birthday was, but he was 24 or 25. He was getting laid. He's doing better than me. He had a very low status job, and he had a baby. I mean, so he wasn't doing horrible, but I guess he had no skills. He was an ex-Marine. He had some very other interesting things he had tried to do during that time. He was a little mentally deranged. He was a wife beater. And all these facts came out. It's very, one of the things that the Kennedy conspiracy people forget is that the importance of understanding Lee Harvey Oswald. And one of the interesting things that is never discussed is the Oswald actually had made earlier in 1963 an assassination attempt on a General Edward Walker. And now General Walker lived in the, I believe he was in Fort Worth at the time. He had a house, and in the Fort Worth area, Dallas-Fort Worth area, and he was sitting in his den. And by the way, Walker was a conservative right-wing general, and Oswald drove to his residence, and with a rifle, which was the same rifle as in the Kennedy assassination, was found at the scene in the Texas Book Depository, had shot, attempted to murder Walker. Now the bullet went through the window, but it struck I don't know what it's called because I'm a moron, it struck the thing that goes when you bring up the window. I don't know what it's called, the thing across the window, and it went through like this, Mr. Walker's hair. So he slightly raised his head, and he's minorly wounded. Okay, now this gun would be later used on President Kennedy, and it would kill President Kennedy. Now, Oswald was shown, his wife had, Oswald had his wife take pictures of him with the gun, which was a Mannlicher Carcano rifle, which he ordered through a catalog, okay, which is an old Italian bolt-action rifle. And again, I'm no expert on firearms, so I don't know what that is. I guess it's something where after each shot, you have to reload a bolt. Who the fuck knows? I'm a Jew. I have no clue. People say, oh, if you just try it harder and put your mind on it, I just don't fucking know. Don't know. So this Mannlicher Carcano rifle is very important in the Kennedy assassination, because one of the things, as the conspiracy theorists say, is that this rifle could not have been used because it would take too long from the first bullet fired to the third and headshot bullet to be reloaded, etc., because it was a very difficult type of weapon to be used. So 3 bullets could have possibly not have been fired with this rifle, okay, which Lee Harvey Oswald had ordered, put together, man, had used already on a general in the Fort Worth, Dallas area. And that was an interesting point that was brought up. And now this has already been shown to be not true. An expert rifleist has already shown that the time that Oswald took, which was maybe 7 seconds, I don't know exact time, he bettered it. He got off the shots quicker. So they actually showed him do it. And it was like 6 or 5.8 seconds. Not only did he better the shot, but he was an older gentleman. And how old he was? He was 94. Let me repeat that. A 94-year-old man was able to shoot the rifle better than Lee Harvey Oswald, quicker, get off the bullet. So that shows you that that's complete BS. So the Mannlicher Carcano rifle was perfectly able to get, and by the way, Lee Harvey Oswald was no slouch. He was a marksman, which is not the highest grade in terms of rifle in the Marines. He was a Marine, Lee Harvey Oswald, but it wasn't bad. I think it was the medium. I don't know. Again, I'll have to ask my friend. He's a big expert in. Again, I know of Nazi stuff. I'm no expert. And again, please either comment or email me. And I'll, if I get any corrections that need on this video, I'll put a correction video. I haven't. No one's ever commented, so I don't know. So that issue is taken care of. So a 94-year-old guy is able to shoot the rifle quicker. Now, one of the other issues, and by the way, if I don't get to an issue, please comment or email me. And there are many issues, and I will get through them all, and they're all nonsense, And maybe we'll go through a bit at the end. We'll go through. And by the way, another interesting point is, if it was a conspiracy, why there's so many conspiracies? Why is the FBI, the CIA, the Russians, the Cubans, the Clay Shaw, Lyndon Johnson, and, et cetera, keeps on going. Why there's so many? You figure there'd be one guy, or a group, say the CIA, they would be interested in, get rid of him, but there was like 7, they couldn't all get together, where someone would say, hey, you could say, how about Jack Ruby, Jack Ruby was just like a nutty guy, he's punch drunk, he was getting into fights all the time, like protecting his strip bar, a burlesque show or something, So you killed my president. He's in love with Kennedy. So he heard about it. In 2 days, he knew the cops in Dallas, because he used to have to pay him off. People don't understand this, It wasn't like, the cops would come and you'd have to pay off the cops. The cops would stop by. You have trouble, running a fucking nightclub, burlesque show. So you'd pay the cops off, give them drinks, give them whores. And, cops would come by, help him out, It's not easy. Get some gambling, get really low lives, and you don't know these places, especially in the 60s, within gentlemen's clubs, and they would let him into, and he knows the cops would say, oh, okay, Jack Ruby, come in, we're taking Oswald into, and all the cameras are there, and even check him for a gun, and they probably were in on it, they probably shoot this fuck, get rid of him, they probably were in on it. So that's the Jack Ruby thing. Now, next thing is the magic bullet wasn't so magic, okay? Now here's another one. I'm going to do it in my Jesse Ventura voice. The second bullet could not have possibly gone through Kennedy and Connolly the way they were seated. So this is another load of crap, and I'm going to tell you why. The reason is because the seats were not situated the way you were. They're not behind each other. Connolly was located more to the left, and Kennedy was located more to the right. So let me see if I can just show you this, you conspiracy theorists. So something like this, right? Let's see, probably not. Okay, so the bullet hit Kennedy, and he did something like this. Let me see. And the bullet came through Kennedy, and it struck a bone, and it went right through Connolly, right? Why is that so unbelievable? It happened, It is what it is, I love that saying. It is what it is. When something bad happens, it's funny. I always wondered that thing. I never understood it is what it is. It's funny, the other day, so I was having some issues, and I wrote it down. Oh, now I understand. It is what it is. It just is, There's no magic, It's not magic. It's just a bullet that went through one guy. They weren't lined up perfectly. It hit the bone of him, and it went through Connolly, Ooh, one of my lights went out. Yeah, this light that keeps going out. Oh, this is important. Okay, so the magic bullet wasn't so magic. Now, let's get to the next point, because this is really important. And this is probably when conspiracy theorists analyze this whole issue, they never get into this. They never understand Lee Harvey Oswald's psyche. Now, Lee Harvey Oswald was a guy who was born in, I don't know where he was born. I went down funny trivia facts. I'm from the Bronx originally. I live in Queens now. I was born in Manhattan, and I lived mostly in the Bronx most of my life. I've lived in Queens since 1994, about 24 years. I lived in Albany for almost a year, too, which is another story. It's a horrible place. And Lee Harvey Oswald, interesting, I don't know where he lived most of his life, but I know he lived in the Bronx for a little time, which is kind of interesting. He was born in 1938, and he wasn't from a good environment, and so he went to the Marines, and he didn't do very well there. I think he was discharged. I don't know what his discharge was. I don't think it was honorable or dishonorable, and he was just average. He was a marksman, and he did everything he needed to do. And he was just going through life. He couldn't hold jobs, and he had some mental issues, and he was just in a difficult situation. And he was not too bright, and one of the things he did was he became a rabble-rouser, and one of the first things he did, he tried to emigrate to the Soviet Union, then Soviet Union. And this is in the heat of the Cold War, like 1960. I think he got out of the Marines like in 1959. And then he tries to go to the Soviet Union. And one of the things he did is he offered his services to the KGB. Now, one of the things is, one of the conspiracy theories is that the KGB did the murder they hired Lee Harvey Oswald, and he was a patsy. Now, the interesting thing is, the KGB only hires really good agents. They don't hire schmucks. They don't hire patsies. They're really on top of the ball. We're not talking. These are the best men, the best of the best. These are not. They're like the Mossad, the Israeli agents, who are probably the best agents in the world. They can take out a guy in Qatar or something, or Abu Dhabi, and get the hell out of there and be in Israel like in 10 hours. They hire like Arabs and pay them. They're just brilliant. So the KGB wanted nothing to do, and this was actually. The United States knew about this guy. He was a problem. They're like, fuck it. Maybe the KGB wanted nothing to do. And this is documented in the Posner book. And KGB wanted nothing to do. So they go with him. So now the Russians have him. And so they give him a job. Who knows? He hates a job. And he's like working. And they send him up, somehow he meets, I think, at the factory. Like a good Russian, a good worker. He does good on the job. But he's unstable. He doesn't like the situation. And, she was a very attractive woman, Madrina Oswald, if you look at pictures of him. So he did pretty good with himself. I couldn't do that good. And, he courts her and marries her. Turns out that he actually is a wife beater, too. This comes out in the book. And so, he marries her, and the Russians are kind of fed up with him. He's, they don't want trouble with America, and it's the Cold War. So they basically say to him, "Listen, get the fuck out of here." So he decides to take his wife, and I think she was pregnant at the time, maybe 1961, and they go back to the United States. The United States takes him back, but they're not thrilled. He first settles, I think, in New Orleans, and what happens is, in New Orleans, he meets some friends, and, there's groups there that are very anti-American. And in 1962 is at the time of the Bay of Pigs. And the Bay of Pigs, as most of you know, if you're very young, just briefly tell you, after the communist revolution in Cuba, Fidel Castro, the United States got a force of Cuban expatriate soldiers and tried to take over there's a bay in, there's a little waterway in Cuba called the Bay of Pigs, right? And they invaded, and the United States thought, they had very small force too, so they thought the Cubans would, rise up against Castro, but they didn't, and they were decimated, the the rebels against Castro, and it was a disaster. It's called the Bay of Pig fiasco. And so Oswald, who really didn't have much, he was a string of shitty jobs, with bum paychecks, as you know my theories, became sort of an agitator, and he started, and you see a lot of the videos of him in New Orleans. On the news, they had him doing fair play for Cuba, handing out pamphlets, and such and such. So Oswald was like a rabble rouser, and again, I'm not sure how he supported himself at the time, and he somehow in late '62 ended up in Dallas. I'm not sure. And again, you might say, "Oh yeah, they knew." They were said no. It just was a coincidence. He was in Dallas, in the Dallas area. Okay, so, and by the way, the United States government was very aware of this guy from what was happening in Russia. They just thought he was some nuts, but they were a little careful of him. And they had him under surveillance. And one of the things he went, to Mexico City, he wanted to go to Cuba and get, I think, asylum in Cuba. So he went to Mexico City, and he went to the Cuban consulate there, but the Cubans rejected him, right? The Cubans even could, he's nuts, he's literally nuts, this guy. So the Cubans rejected him, and in fact, I believe the United States had a CIA agent telling him, his name was E. Howard Hunt, who would later go on to Watergate fame. He was one of the burglars at the Watergate Hotel. So during this whole time, leading up to the Kennedy assassination, the FBI knew exactly where he was at all times. There was not a phone call they didn't know about, and he made a few phone calls and they had each phone call bugged, and there was no one. They were just to his wife. There was nobody of interest. There was no one he was calling. No one was calling him. They knew exactly who he was calling. I said, well, the FBI was in on the conspiracy. So on the Warren Commission, no, we weren't. Maybe, the only possibility, this to me, it's the only possibility, someone else was trying to assassinate Kennedy at the same time. I'm from the grassy knoll. Howard Stern had a great line. He said, it was all those wives, it was all those husbands, the wives he was cheating on, they were shooting at him. It was a great line. So here's this guy. So he beats his wife. He's not doing well in life. It's just, the future is not good. It's just really bad. Not as bad as mine, but close. So it's really bad. And it's 1963. He's in Dallas. He makes an attempt on the General Walker's life, unsuccessful. And he's having trouble holding a job, and his wife's pregnant, and it's not good, He's in a house, and they're taking care of Marina, and he has a very nice landlady. And she knows he's having problems getting a job, and for somehow, I don't know how this comes about, she knows there's a job, and the FBI says, set it up, this is a setup. Yeah. So she has a friend, and the friend calls her up and says that there's an opening at the Texas book deposit. I know that's an old Full Metal Jacket joke. The Texas Book Depository Building, right? Texas Book Depository Building. And Oswald takes the job, and this must have been maybe August of '63. It gets really hot in Texas in August. So he takes the job, and it's a job, and it's enough to probably to pay And again, they're rent at the rooming house, and it's not a good life. And the prospects for the future are very poor. Again, he's beating his wife, and at that time, was even Marina was talking to the woman at the rooming house, and she basically said, "I want to leave him. English is very limited at this point. I need to leave him. I need to find, because he has a baby. He has no way to make a living hardly, and he wasn't. This is his job. If they scrimped and save, might find a way to get by. But things did not look good. Having a baby, and even that, really bad. So leading up to the assassination, so now Oswald's doing a job, but again, it's not a good situation. You got a deranged guy working at a low-status, boring job, a Texas school book depository building, and it's just bad. It's just really bad. And here's a guy, is a rabble-rouser, some kind of political bent. His politics are more probably aim. He also put out, I don't know if he put out the circular, but he would pass out the circular with Kennedy's face on it. This man wanted for treason and all kinds of stuff. So Oswald, one of the things he used to do, and this is how the assassination occurred, and a lot of you think it was a conspiracy, don't know this. One of the things he used to do was he would have to save every penny. He couldn't even buy a newspaper. Back then, but there was no internet. He had to buy a newspaper. So what he did was he used to go to the library on his lunch break, because there was a library across the street from the Texas book depository building, school book depository building, and he would read yesterday's paper. And this was a Thursday, I think before the assassination. And he saw a headline, Kennedy coming to Dallas. Okay, so this is a guy, by the way, who tried to assassinate a general, and he's like thinking, wow, I could become famous for this. I could leave my horrible life and become, my wife's going to leave my ass. Well, what happens when she leaves? There's not much left. I was looking to get laid, He had a baby, and so not only does he see that, he opens up the paper and he sees the parade route. So he looks to the parade route. He says, wow, wait a second. The parade route is going to go right in front of the Texas School Book Depository. Ooh. So many things just came together. Maybe there is a guy. No. It's the CIA, the FBI. They got him that job, and they put him right in the Texas. He was just a patsy. So Oswald, I forget, I think it was the assassination was a Friday. So he was reading yesterday's paper, so he got ready real quick. He knew he left something like his money, and he left sort of like a little note, I love you, and I love the baby. Because he knew that would be the day. I think it was a Friday, the 22nd. And what happened was, I think his landlady, I think I was wrong in that detail. The landlady also worked at the Texas Book Depository building. So she would drive him there every day. And what happened was, he came in, he had taken the rifle and disassembled it. And she asked him, well, what do you have? And he says, curtain rods. He always bring curtain rods to work. So he goes there and reassembles it, and of course the rest is history, And, he, in the chaos, he runs out, and, he was identified, and he also killed another man, an officer, J.D. Tippit, and he was finally captured at a movie theater. He's roughed up because he tried to resist arrest, and 2 days later, when he was brought into court, and at that time, when he was being brought into court, that's when Jack Ruby killed him. And of course, Jack Ruby, we discussed why he was able to get at him, and had nothing to do with him rubbing out the witness, and he was going to, had nothing to do with it. So hopefully it's a really convincing, and some other, things. Two other things to think about. Again, I don't have the, again, I said it's not as certain as God not existing, but okay, and one of the things that I think is really important when you think it over, and you might say, you're still wrong, Jew atheist, is the fact that there's no smoking gun. There's never been there's a lot of conjecture, well, how come Oswald, and when the bullet came off the table or something, the magic bullet, there's nothing, it's like no good evidence. And I even dispelled you couldn't have not got it off, and it was a coup d'etat. No, it wasn't, Gerald Posner, I think, had one of the great lines. Normally, when there's a great crime, there are great criminals. Like when the Holocaust happened, the Nazis did it, and they were great criminals. In this case, it was a great crime, the killing of a great president, a great man, but there was a poor criminal. And that's what you can't understand. And that's why people are always looking for a reason. Why? How can this? But he did it. He just was in the right place. He said, I'm going to do this. It's like it was one chance. And he said, I'm going to seize this. I'm going to be famous forever. And he was, He probably thought he wasn't going to get killed, but poor, handling of witnesses, which has been improved over the years. And they put them sometimes in bulletproof vests, they don't let in Jack Rubies, and so there's no smoking guns. Also, another thing, you always got to remember this, money. Now, JFK conspiracy theories are a moneymaker, okay? Now, again, like atheism isn't profitable. And the same thing with conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories are moneymaker. Like UFO, allergy is profitable. But the JFK conspiracy theories are profitable too, and there'll be more, and they'll be, we never talked about this, and you never talked about that, and of course, but again, no smoking gun, and you gotta always remember, you write a book, it's profitable. New book about the JFK, it's been, 55 years, and people just, there's gotta be something, it couldn't be. Well, what is it? Come on, can you see evidence? You have evidence? There's no evidence. You know why? Because Lee Harvey Oswald did it, and he did it alone. Okay, just a couple more thoughts, and we'll close it. I got this one under 4. I think this is my new format. What is some of the reasons the possible assassins had it? The Cubans, of course, because of the Bay of Pigs. The Russians, because of the Cold War. The CIA, I don't know. No clue why they would do it. They're just mean men, I don't know. The Mafia, of course, because of the Jimmy Hoffa situation. Robert F. K., the brother of John Fitzgerald, Robert Francis Kennedy, the brother of John Fitzgerald Kennedy, had come down on the Mafia and prosecuted one of their top henchmen, Jimmy Hoffa, Lyndon Johnson, because of he wanted to be president. He was the vice president at the time. Clay Shore, I'm not sure, and you'll have to watch that crazy Oliver Stone. You'll have to watch that movie. And the FBI, not sure what they want to kill him anyway. So that pretty much does it. And I try to keep the podcast short from now on. And I think that was a good one, nice and short. You got a lot of information. And I think I pretty much, and I think I did a good job. I mean, unless you could, please, again, comment, write me. You got my email, greatjewishatheist @gmail.com. And please comment, please like the video, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.